My name is Amanda. Standing on this stage, looking at the shocked faces in the room, I'm reminded of how far I've come and the lengths I've gone to reclaim my dignity. Just moments ago, the room was filled with the sounds of celebration and the soft glow of romance. But then I took the microphone and everything changed. The music died, and the silence was so thick you could cut it with a knife. Bianca, my brother Ethan's fiancée, shrieked from the dance floor, "You liar! You're just a jealous loser trying to ruin my wedding." Denise, Ethan's future mother-in-law, who works as a nails executive at a large financial firm, barreled towards me, scowling. "Get down from there right now. I'll have you banned from every event space in town." But I stood my ground. I held up my phone, showing the digital contract on the screen. "I'm invoking Clause 14B of the venue rental agreement," I said, my voice steady. "Any form of harassment towards the ownership or staff means immediate, non-refundable termination of this event." Bianca sneered, "You're just Ethan's good-for-nothing sister. You're not the owner." I stared her right in the eye and replied, "No, I'm the owner. I bought this resort, Seaside Retreat, when it was on the verge of bankruptcy 3 years ago. I poured my heart and soul into turning it around, and now it's one of the most exclusive venues on the coast." The silence that followed was almost deafening. Ethan dropped his glass of champagne, and it shattered on the floor. "Let me take you back to how this all started. I grew up in a family where my parents, Mr. and Mrs. Thompson, always favored Ethan. He was the star athlete, the one with big dreams of making it in the business world. I, on the other hand, kept a low profile. I was the quiet one who loved numbers and had a knack for finding diamonds in the rough. My parents were constantly pressuring me to support Ethan. When they were on the verge of losing their house due to debt, I emptied my savings to pay off their mortgage. When Ethan needed seed money for his new startup, I gave him every cent I had set aside for my own future. I drove an old, beat-up car while he drove a fancy sports car. On the day of Ethan and Bianca's wedding, I showed up in a thrift store dress. Bianca took one look at me and whispered, "You shouldn't have come. The stench of your cheap clothes is spoiling my big day." Then, she deliberately poured a glass of expensive red wine down the front of my dress. The music stopped and the crowd gasped. Bianca stood there, smirking, waiting for me to break down. But I didn't. I checked my watch. It was 6:02. I decided that by 6:05, this so-called perfect wedding would be over. Denise, with her cold, calculating eyes, stepped in and dragged me away to the vendor's table in the kitchen, saying it was a favor to keep me out of sight. Ethan just watched, sipped a champagne, and turned his back on me. That was when the sadness in me turned into cold determination. I watched Bianca dancing in the center of the floor, wearing a designer dress that I could have paid for 10 times over. I thought about all the sacrifices I had made for this family, and I knew it was time to take back what was mine. I retrieved my phone and opened the resort's management app. I sent a text to Marcus, my head of security. Code 14B. Execute immediately. He appeared from the shadows, his imposing figure making the DJ stop his music with a screech. The lights came on full blast, shattering the romantic atmosphere. As the chaos ensued and Ethan tried to discredit me in front of the guests, saying I was unstable and broke, I went to the DJ booth and projected documents on the big screen. The first was the deed of trust for my parents' house. I was the lender. The second was Ethan's business loan, long overdue. Ethan's face went pale. "You're the investor?" he stammered. "Yes," I replied. "I paid for your startup, your car, this wedding, everything. You have until Monday to apologize, or I'll start foreclosure proceedings." With that, Ethan grabbed Bianca and fled. Denise tried to argue, but the security guards escorted her out. The guests now looked at me with newfound respect, not as the girl in the ruined dress, but as the woman in control. I poured myself a glass of wine and savored the silence. I've decided to cut off all the toxic relationships in my family. They can stay in the house for now, but it's only because I allow it. I've learned that sometimes power isn't given, it's earned through hard work and sacrifice. And I'm done being the family's doormat.